Jon Stewart dragged mainstream media hosts for poorly covering the criminal trial of former President Donald Trump. In the segment titled America's Most Tremendously Wanted, Stewart brought attention to how his trial will not only be a test of the American legal system, but also for the media. Tasked with reporting on the historical trial responsibly, a task that he said the media failed. Let's watch.
Seriously, are we going to follow this guy to court every f***ing day? Are you trying to make this OJ? It's not a chase. He's commuting. So the media's first attempt, the very first attempt on the first day at self-control, failed.
In his latest episode of The Daily Show, aired Monday night, Stewart also called out the overextensive and overly dramatic coverage.
At some point in this trial, something important and revelatory is going to happen. But none of us are going to notice because the hours spent on his speculative facial tics, if the media tries to make us feel like the most mundane bullshit is earth-shattering, we won't believe you when it's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing new about this dynamic. The mainstream media is fascinated by Donald Trump because he's good for ratings. They cover every single thing, the minutia of what he is involved with. This has been the dynamic since he first appeared on the political scene many years ago and before. The media helped will him into existence as a political actor, including in cable news where he was a frequent guest in his through Celebrity Apprentice and all of those kinds of things. So there's really Jon Stewart is reacting to a phenomenon that is now so well established. I don't think it's particularly revelatory that he's saying these things. I mean, and also there is something historic about what Trump's going through now.
Historic.
We are going to, yes, they are going to have TV cameras following him as he drives to the court, reporters covering on whether he falls asleep or whether he's, bubbles are coming out of his nose or whatever. Like that's obviously going to be part of the reality. Does anyone expect differently? So I'm not sure. I can't get outraged about that. That's just basic fact now.
I don't know. I don't think this is one of Jon Stewart's most insightful clips. I mean, the irony is that the person who testified today, David Pecker, he is a former CEO of the American Media Incorporation, which
National Enquirer.
Was the National Enquirer publishing company up until 2019. And precisely what he is testified to is his long-term relationship with Donald Trump. The fact that after Donald Trump started the show, The Apprentice, he became such a public entity, such a famous person and such a driver of sales for the magazine that they established this relationship where Donald Trump would feed him gossip information about goings-on at The Apprentice. The National Enquirer would post about it. It gave The Apprentice publicity. It sold magazines for the National Enquirer. It was this symbiotic relationship that they had. And he established the point of the testimony, it seems, is to establish their relationship over the years that they had, something, if not approximating a friendship, then a relationship in which they spoke regularly. Cohen reached out to Pecker to invite him to his 2015 presidential launch event. I mean, it was that kind of a relationship.
And Pecker warned him when Stormy Daniels was going to come forward shopping the story about their
So this is the basis of it. So the belief is that Trump's attorneys are going to try to undermine the testimony of Michael Cohen, saying that he's not a credible actor. And Pecker's testimony could ostensibly corroborate Cohen's testimony insofar as the allegation is that Pecker had previously paid another one of these adult star accusers off, like bought her story to kill it, but never got a payment from Donald Trump, was disgruntled about it. So when the second one came along, when Stormy Daniels came along, that is why Michael Cohen was enlisted to make the payment so that it would actually incentivize the Enquirer to follow through and actually do the catch and kill that would save Donald Trump's reputation as he headed into the election season.
Sure. So there's proving whether that actually happened, whether they accept the testimony from this person and from Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen being someone that not even Michael Avenatti, the former attorney for Stormy Daniels, says is a totally bad faith actor and not at all credible. But here is a figure who might add some credibility to it. And then there's the determination over whether that counts as a campaign finance violation, which is the actual crime. They're also discussing. So I think what's going on in the courtroom today is a lot about having to do with the gag order, whether Trump's Truth Social posts about the jury members violate his gag order, whether he's allowed to speak about them. The prosecutors are trying to get a $1,000 fine for each of 10 different posts that Donald Trump made about the jurors. The judge has not indicated how they feel about it yet, but we're not totally impressed with the arguments put forth by Trump's legal team, repeatedly asking for what case law says that Trump can do this, and not getting any, and being very frustrated.
Yeah, this seems like such an own goal for Donald Trump. I don't think he benefits at all from, well, maybe he benefits
maybe he does.
politically.
He benefits, it's $10,000 versus his ability to, he thinks he's needing to indict the process, complain that he's being treated unfairly, and that is his campaign.
Right. He might benefit politically from making his base think further that he's being railroaded or unfairly prosecuted. But in the context of the actual lawsuit that he's trying to defend against, he is not doing himself any favors by making these kinds of attacks, frankly, on members of the jury or on the legal process in and of itself. And after having been implicated, his attacks on the poll workers in Georgia are a part of the Georgia case. Rudy Giuliani has had to pay up the wazoo for his attacks on those jury workers and the moving and the onslaught that they had to defend against as a consequence of being targeted in that way in these kinds of social media posts. It's just so odd to continue to want to go down that road, and for what?
Well, I mean, the for what is that he thinks it's unfair. He thinks he's being silenced from
he's
talking
unfair
about
targeting jurors.
Well, he thinks the jurors are biased against him, that he's not going to get a fair trial in New York, and that he should speak out against that. And I mean, that's what he's doing, that his ability to campaign, to indict the process against him, that he has a free speech right to do that, and he is being hampered. He's part of a deliberate attempt, and he calls that election interference. So that's what he's going to continue to complain about it. I think the aspects of the gag order in the other cases that pertain to his ability to discuss or call out people, including like Mike Pence, who he was at the time running against for the nomination, did in fact worry me on First Amendment grounds. This less so, but other people are speaking out again. It's been interesting to watch what media organizations, like obviously Jesse Waters said a lot about the jurors at Fox News, but other mainstream organizations, tweeting details about them and then frantically deleting them when they realize, oh, should we not be doing that? Are we doing the exact same thing that Trump is being accused of doing?
Yeah, I was trying to find the actual post. For some reason, a lot of these articles won't just include what it is that Donald Trump actually said. But the problem,
maybe because they don't want to. Right, because they're negotiating whether to further bring the jurors under scrutiny.
Maybe. But the irony is that the reason why Donald Trump, if he thinks that he can't find a fair jury in New York, it's because he spent so much time blasting his opinions about everything, making himself a household name, insinuating himself into the lives and the minds and the news consumption of everybody in the world almost, certainly in America and certainly New York City. So in some ways he's lying in the bed that he made.
It's like that old philosophical dilemma. Could God heat up a burrito too hot for him to eat it? Is Donald Trump too big a media figure to be held accountable by the people in his media?
Yeah, I mean, all of this started, including the original relationship with the National Enquirer, because he was just so famous that he became the news.
And then he became the president.
And he started to try to direct the news and profit from being able to direct the news with his relationship with the newsman like David Pecker, and now here we are today.
The news media and Trump need each other like Joker needs Batman. More Rising right after this.